John Lusk here of Lusk Archery Adventures. Series testing, successful hunting. Today I'm going to be testing another head by Tooth of the Arrow. Man, I've loved Tooth of the Arrow broadheads from the beginning, especially the 4 blades. I've taken so many animals with those 4 blade heads, the 1 inch, the original size, as well as the XL. But they've made 3 blade broadheads and 2 blade broadheads. Now they've come out with a 2 blade mechanical, and I'm going to be putting it to the test. And for this test, I'm going to be using my protocol for 2026. And for a detailed description of that, please check out the video I posted earlier this year called 2026 Broadhead Test Process, and it'll walk you through all the different tests I do. I've changed a lot this year, so the more you can watch that video, the faster we can move through all this, and the more you're going to grasp, and the less questions I have to keep repeating the answer to, okay? And I'm going to be using my Elite Eon Compound bow for most of the shooting, but for the high-speed crossbow stuff and some of the flight testing, I'm going to be using my Ravin LR XBow. And I'm going to be using Bishop Archery arrows for most of the shooting. Hey, let's zoom on in here, check out this Tooth of the Arrow mechanical, and then put it to the test. Here's a good look at this mechanical by Tooth of the Arrow. Pretty simple, straightforward, no nonsense design to it. Let's start with the materials. First of all, you have a high carbon steel ferrule, hardened high carbon steel ferrule, and then you've got stainless steel blades. In terms of the dimensions, in the closed position, the dimension there is 0.63 inches, so a little over half an inch. And then when the blades open, they open to 2 1/4 inches, which is really impressive. And the overall length beyond the end of the arrow is about 1.5 inches, 1.48 inches. Now the blades are listed as 0.038 inches thick. By my measurements, they came in at 0.030 inches thick. So we'll see how durable they are. Now, some of the features to note, it's got a pretty narrow ferrule right there. And then I'll open it up in a second. You can see it's pretty vented. A little concerned about the durability, given the length and given the venting, but it is a hardened high carbon steel ferrule. And then it's got this extra kind of tanto style tip, just to give it a little extra durability, and open up a wound channel with the tip. Again, pretty low profile in flight, and they're held together. The blades are held in place, held closed by a really heavy O-ring. So it's going to hold them closed pretty effectively. And this is the position they recommend it in. If you can see that silhouette, I've experimented and put it a little bit forward and put it a little bit back. And if you put it a little bit back, man, the blades open really good on impact, okay? You put it where it's recommended, and they kind of open on impact, okay? The tip here, it's not really sharp, the blades. A lot of blades that open from the top like this, over the top deploying blades, are not sharpened because they want more pressure to force them back. These are not sharpened, but they're kind of sharpened, okay? Just barely on the inside of that angle, they start to be sharpened. So it is going to cut in the closed position a little more effectively than most over-the-top deploying mechanicals. So that's the way it works. When there's pressure put there, you can see it forces the blades open and forces this O-ring back. And let me show it to you in the open position. And there it is. Wow, it goes off the camera there. I mean, it's really a nice wide cut to it. And that O-ring is holding it in place. Yeah, they sweep back like that, giving it a really nice wide cut. So I'm eager to see how it's going to perform. Oh, I wanted to show you the ferrule. Like I said, it's pretty long and narrow and pretty vented. So I wonder how durable that's going to be. And these blades are pretty long. It's going to be a lot of torque right there in that center point. And they're pretty thin. So I'm a little concerned about the durability, but Tooth of the Arrow typically makes really tough stuff. So I look forward to putting it to the test and seeing how it performs. It got the 10 ring. With the Ravin, it just clipped the bullseye. It took 167 grams of force to cut through the wire, which is a 10 on a 10-point scale, plus a bonus of 0.33 points for being under the threshold of 200. It penetrated 8 3/4 inches, but it's going to get a slight deduction because the last, inch and a quarter is just that narrow tip and not actually the blades cutting. It took an additional 43 grams of force to cut through the wire, which is a 9.14 on a 10-point scale. It penetrated through 56 layers, but it gets a deduction because the last, over an inch or so was just that long, narrow tip and not actually the blades cutting. So it gets a score of 6.57 on a 10-point scale. The head's in very good condition after the 3 shots through the MDF. One of the blades got a little bit bent, so it gets a 9.5 on a 10-point scale. Here it is after the 2 shots through the steel plate. After the first shot, the blades were still intact. One of them got a bit more bent. And then on the second shot, it lost both of the blades. So it's going to get a score of 6 on a 10-point scale. Here's the tooth of the arrow mechanical after all the durability testing. It kind of looks funny right there. Okay, I could make a few comments about that. But through the MDF, it held up relatively well. 3 shots, the blades just bent slightly on the 3rd shot. So that's the most important of the durability tests, especially for mechanicals. Held up relatively well. And it held up fine through the first shot into the steel plate. One of the blades got a little bit bent back further. And then on the second shot into the steel plate, it lost both of its blades. They just broke off right there at the pin where they connect. And so I wouldn't normally shoot it into the center block, but I had an extra one, so I thought I'd go ahead and test it. And you can see what happened here. It just bent in half. It's pretty vented. Let me see if I can line up that vent. Yeah, it's pretty vented right there, pretty narrow and pretty vented. So any sort of angular force that it impacted with a hard shot on the center block is going to cause that. Now, would that be the case in the animal? I wouldn't think so because it held up so well in the MDF and through the first shot in the steel plate. That puts it kind of above average for mechanicals when they can hold up to 1 shot in the steel plate. But it is what it is, and you can see the failure point in this cinder block. But overall, again, above average durability for a mechanical. So what'd you think of the tooth of the arrow mechanical? Hey, there's a lot of good strengths to it. I love its simple design. I love that it flies so well. I love it has a really good cut size. The durability is a little bit questionable. There's sometimes it held up really well in hard impacts, and then there's other times I shot it into the target and lost both blades in the target. So it's a little bit hit or miss in that area, but I think it really is a viable option, especially for certain animals. Turkey season is coming up. It could be really good on turkey and some whitetail and stuff like that. But hey, you check out the score sheet and see how it performed in the areas that matter to you the most and see if it might be a good fit for you. And stay tuned for the cumulative score as well as the corresponding Lusk grade. And also stay tuned for a list of all the discount codes I can offer, like Tooth of the Arrow, Lusk 10 saves 10% on any of their broadheads. But there's many more on this list that's going to come up just to help you save some money in the field. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you next time.